Hello and welcome to episode 46 of Nuggets Dungeon Terrain, and part 1 in the new series where I'm building a crypt. The first room is going to be a collapsed passage. Some of the features of this tile I'm hoping to carry across through the rest of the dungeon. This includes a different red colour scheme for the floor, alcoves in the sides where bodies have been laid, lots of rubble and broken areas, and tree roots through the walls and sometimes through the floor. So here I'm just prepping a skeleton mini. I'm breaking its legs at the hips so that they can be brought in closer together, that way they'll fit inside the alcove, and I'm breaking off the arms and cutting off the weapon and realigning them in a more streamlined formation. On the wall in the background you can see that I've used a hot wire stick to melt out the alcove, as well as some cracks in the wall. Here I'm putting some air drying clay into those cracks, pushing them down at the origin point and then spreading them out. These will become the tree roots. The part of the root that overlaps the bottom line of the wall, which will be where it connects with the floor, isn't pushed down because when it's attached to the floor it'll spread out in a horizontal direction. Some of the final shaping is being done with icing or fondant tools. I find these sculpting tools have some really interesting shapes and work to a scale that's pretty similar to what you use with miniatures. After everything's been painted black and very carefully filled in, I've applied this red paint. I'm using a sideways, let's say semi-dry brushing technique to get most of the detail but leave some of the key black areas untouched. As you can imagine, with this cheap acrylic paint, it took a couple of goes to start to get the proper colour through in the areas that I wanted. I then finished this area off with some black washes and some red highlights to get this final effect. The next piece, a corner tile, was inspired in part by the Flames of Kazla, which is one of the expansions from the original Warhammer quest. The flame itself I built on a core piece of XPS made to the shape that I wanted, and then I sculpted over the top some of this 3D gloss super heavy gel. I found that a component from a broken Christmas decoration made the perfect base or brazier for the fire to sit in. The fire was painted before it went into the base, and the base now sits on top of two small pieces of XPS foam, carved and painted to look like the rest of the floor. Coarse textured medium gel sits in some of the corners. In some cases this just hides some imperfections and cracks, and in others it just kind of makes sense. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't yet, please take the time to subscribe. The next couple of stages of this crypt have already been made and will come out soon in the next few episodes.